Let's talk American dream versus Russia. What's the Russian dream? What's the American dream equivalent in Russia? Like the build your own business, have a family, have a nice house with a nice yard, a dog, and have some like self entitlement to a decent car, like that classic like American dream. What's the equivalent in Russia?
I think it's not an American dream anymore. It's a universal
the
capitalism
global dream, the capitalism dream.
People just want different cars. Like here in Germany, they're like hatchbacks apparently, and like Americans US, like this like nicer ones. That
or the Ford or a nice Ford truck, like the nicest like $100,000 trucks out there.
Every time I see a pickup truck over here, I'm saying America.
I'm shocked. I mean, it's actually crazy. I didn't expect to see like almost any trucks. I've seen more than I thought I would, honestly.
Well, you live in a small town,
southern Germany.
There's like a lot of people who are farming somehow. Still, I think it's a useful thing to have. If I had a goddamn pickup truck, I would do more exhibitions. My paintings
absolutely.
Are fucking heavy.
Of course. No, but yes, like I mean, so you would say it's not that dissimilar to the average Russians.
I think it's interesting.
Dream.
Like if we go back to the question of how people care about the society, it kind of is like a cover. In fact, there's so many things. Like okay, the essence of Russian mentality about working is like what I've been taught by a colleague. Well, not name because he's a wonderful person.
Yeah, of course.
Like. But he told me at some point, a proverb, at work, you are not a guest, steal at least a nail.
And
that's like, see, it's more about having a community. You're not a guest, meaning like you don't offend the host because it's more an intimate community. You are not a guest means like if you are a guest, you actually respect the host, and that's more kind of like local community mentality, right. I would say.
So we're at the idea of the Russian dream versus the American dream and what that difference looks like.
Nowadays, everybody is on the internet, so people know what they might want.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to have goods, of course, of some sort. But there is like something for family reunions and stuff. So we understand each other, I think, with our Pakistani friends over here, I think. Our Pakistani friends. That's a typically Russian thing, as I figured out. I'm always like saying we, kind of collectively.
There you go. See, it's the collective.
It's very strange. Like my girlfriend is catching me on that very much when I'm saying, when we went to some like park or like do some concert with my friends, and she's like, when I went. That's how it's supposed to sound. I'm like, yeah, but in Russian you usually say we when they're with someone, or usually you would say we dated with someone, and it doesn't mean that you had a collective sin happening over there.
Yeah,
it means that you were dating as
that makes sense.
An individual. So it's collectivism on a linguistic level, I guess.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean. Then, like, how do you feel like you balance that idea of like the collective with your own pursuits? Like, does it affect any other aspects of how you approach like work or progress, or like, the average Russian out there when they're growing up, they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you're like, I want to be a what? And like, what does that look like for a Russian?
Actually, that's a good question nowadays. What kids are growing up with. I think there was a widespread dream to be a cosmonaut at some point, when Soviets went into space. But after that, people started, some fluctuations of desires started to happen, particularly in the 90s. In the 90s, I think everybody wanted to become a gangster or a businessman, which was pretty much the same thing. So nowadays, probably the same. I don't know. Capitalism just inspires people to want to become a businessman of some sort.
Yeah, an entrepreneur,
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of desires that are imposed on you by the state. Like you are supposed to want to be a good citizen. And that means you are supposed to want to go and spend 1 year at least in the army when you get 18 to feel like a real man. Well, I'm not very dependent on this particular thing.
Yeah.
I can feel like a fake man. I don't mind. I'm in Germany. Come on.
And